Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tuber. Welcome back. This is your 9th Matlock episode review. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe out there in the world. Yeah, we're back. Madlock time. Hope you all been great while we've been away. It's been, hope your holidays were well. It's kind of weird to say that after, holidays has been over for me. So it's like, it's been a whole month. We've been reviewing The Rookie on the other side of things. So for me, it's kind of like things have kind of been, pursuing as this current new year goes, and I just forgot. Oh, whoa! I forgot. It's been almost 7 weeks since we last got a Madlock episode, and I think it's just a detriment as I get older. Again, I'm only 27, so some people say, "Oh, you're still young. You're not that old." It's like as I get older, it's like when it comes to like TV shows, I've watched so much of it that my hype level for certain things have kind of gone away. Especially when you go on your first big break, it's kind of difficult to recreate that magic. For me personally, it really is, because sometimes it's like you forget what's going on, so like plugging back into that universe is it takes a bit of time to kind of really get the groove again. The biggest example I've said before of a failure of that track was Agents of Shield back in its first season, where it was so disjointed because they were trying to make this movie level TV show, and they just weren't able to commit to it because it was just very difficult with VFX and trying to keep the story going, but at the same time trying to be flexible because of the larger MCU at the time. So that was example where now where we're at, like we are willing to take sacrifices where shows are willing to, like, instead of coming back in the fall, like, okay, let's just wait till January, start a brand new year fresh with new episodes, less breaks, a straight run like the Rookie did. But with Madlock's case, Madlock being a much earlier film show because of everything that happened with the writer's strike and the actor's strike back in 2023, this was well more shot, this was well more in the pipe, so I'm like, it was more easier to, like, okay, we can jump straight into it with the show. And now that we're back, I can safely say, oh, we are back. We are so back. It's not even funny anymore. I'm so dedicated to the show that I had a private call with my partner while the original airing was going, and I'm like, okay, so technically the secondary way to watch it is going to go live at midnight for me. So I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go watch it at midnight, and I did. It's 1 a.m. in the morning as I'm recording this. That's just my dedication with the show. Because with this episode specifically, it just was it was the right front to kind of really dive into more of the meat that is in the show. We are now in the middle stages, the first season of this first story, and we're still rocking it. We're still kicking it. It's kind of becoming a little bit more scary, not in like those certain horror theme level, more like as as Maddie gets closer into things, while she's still not there to the answer yet, she's delving even more personal bond. She's kind of really forming these connections, and they're beginning to start to be eye batting to her husband and to into her family about just like, wait a minute, are you sure we're still on the same mission? Because like being buddies with Olympia wasn't exactly the real plan here. And now that we're kind of, again, we're well into things, it becomes a little still concerning into the fact that what is the next revelation to happen? Because like this episode, I think, was key to like reset some relationship, reset some expectations with the character. And I think that was wise because, again, we are coming back from a break, so not everyone's 100% like, oh, where were we at? Because like Madlock, for some reason, with their recaps, what they would do is they would keep very, very vague, very kind of encouraging. Hey, go to Paramount Plus, watch our show, and then come back to the live tapings. But no, like so for me, so I think it worked to their advantage that they was able to reset the expectations. So I found it to be very smart for the writers to do, whether or not they planned it from the get go, like how they were going to be blocked out. Again, I'm not really sure. I'm not CBS over here, so. So now to get into it, we're like, yes, I'm very much back into it. I'm very much engaged into it. As now we're kicking off the true second half of season 1. I say this a lot of times, like we're in the second half. We're in the middle. We're like, no, we're now, first half is over. We still have a whole nother 9 episodes to go. I think it's 9 or 20. I forgot how many episodes the season is. I want to say it's 18. I'm gonna pull my solid bit on that. So, but either way, we're still getting into like the second half of things. Now we're starting to really like, okay, now we got to start like getting things more figured out here, because it's only a matter of time before something goes kaput. And trust me, Maddie's only begging for a kaput. Like the deeper she goes, the more difficult it is going to be to pull out safely, at least. So let's just say that. But with all that being said, I think this was a really great episode. It was a really nice way to get back into Matlock after such a few many weeks away, and I'm very excited to see where the 2025 half of this season of Matlock is going to take us as we now begin to count there to the end in spring. So with all that being said, let's go for the Butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of Matlock. So we begin with Maddie in a bar. Kind of not what we were expecting. You know, she's goggling some dude, a man, next to her, kind of being a little bit flirtatious, all that sort of thing, trying to make conversation. This guy's just like, just want to enjoy my fried calamari, which I'm like, of all the places to go for dinner, you go to a bar's fried calamari. And then the rule number one, kids, that I always say is that I am very particular with my seafood places. I live in New York. We are very abundant with a lot of different cuisines. For me, I do not eat fish that often outside a restaurant. I have my select few places that I've been accustomed to throughout my many years, and I leave it like that. I leave the fish there. So fried calamari at a bar. I mean, I no. If I'm gonna get fried calamari from somewhere, it's gonna be at least a nice restaurant. That's it, not a bar. No offense, no offense. I've tried some bar foods before. They are pretty decent. But for fish, for a bar, I just don't trust the quality. I really don't. I think bar rescue's kind of affected me every time I go traveling. I see those freaking episodes on my hotel TV when me and my partner are bored. I'm just like, yeah, that's not exactly something I would like to do. But then all of a sudden on the left of him, our right, is Olympia, who is trying to play wing woman with her. Not to the extent trying to get him out of this, because in fact that Maddie's flirtatious is not really something that he wants. And then all of a sudden, Olympia is like, suddenly just turns the corner and says, hey, look, just letting you know, I'm a lawyer. I'm representing your former employee. She's suing your former company, and we're hoping that we can get your admission on the tape so that we can use it against trial. The guy eventually kind of submits because of Maddie's very poor flirting skills, which it works. They manage to get a buy-in from the manager, and she manages to return home to bid the good news to her husband, who is just like, okay. Uh-huh. I bet you man just catches on like, yeah, you're not really engaged in this, aren't you? And he's like, well, I mean, that's great for the case, but again, I'm trying to remind you, we're trying to figure out who's in the cahoots with this Will Brexit documents, and we're kind of not really making any progress. You know, I've been looking at the audio tapes, and there's not a lack of information that we need, so. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a little bit sour about it. You know, the fact that, you know, Maddie's kind of delving more and more deeper into just being an employee of the firm, but like, you know, like we're not really getting much progress on the Will Brexit front anymore. And, you know, Maddie's just like, well, it's all part of the strategy. You know, at the end of the day, I'm still helping people, you know, which is a positive side effect about my undercover stint. And so she thinks it's all going to pay off eventually. And with her husband, he's just not convinced, you know. Again, like, it's becoming more and more subvert that like he's not entirely comfortable with where things are at right now, with the progress they're making. Maddie tries to soothe him over with like cleaning his glasses, just assuring him we're on the right track. We will figure out what's going on, whether it's Julian, whether it's Olympia. We will find out who is tampering with the files. Then then Maddie starts acting like a schoolgirl, like when she gets texts from Olympia, and she's like acting like, oh my god, my best friend texted me, and like she's hiding it from her husband, and I'm just like, bruh. We cut to the next day where Augie is contemplating breakfast, the most important meal of the day, which is a very nice assortment of I think it's an omelet with berries, which not a bad breakfast, not a bad breakfast. And I really hate it whenever they like have these scenes where like they leave the food unattended, which I'm like, that'll be the first thing I do. Conversations aside, I know morning time with the family is usually a way to reset your day, catch up with things. How's everyone doing? Let's get a great day going. Nah, this kid just leaves his breakfast behind. Like, and for me, I'm like, that breakfast would have already been scarfed down before I even left the room. I'm just being poignant on there. they bring up to the fact that August started to get a little bit bullied in school, that it would be smarter to get the principal involved so they could start like straightening things out. And this is where the two conflicting points of views comes into place, where for Maddie's side, she believes that let's get the principal involved, let's get like the right adult figures involved to try and get things back to smooth to benefit Augie, while Grandpa over here believes that, well, no, I think we should let things play out, because if we just come to the rescue for Augie, then he'll never really know how to be self-dependent on himself, not having to rely on his grandparents to come save the day. So kind of, two different, views over here, starting to like kind of, be a little bit of a rift between them. Not like a big rift, but more like a general, yeah, this is not going to entirely work out well here. And decide to diffuse the situation by just having a compromise. Okay, we'll do it your way, but the next time we get a moment that Augie's not feeling comfortable here, we're pulling him out. We're going to get the principal involved and all that sort. And he's like, okay, sure, whatever you say. And then Maddie reviews the audio clips again, where she gets a mention of Will Brexa. And upon reviewing that specific section, it turns out that Julian's mistress, the person he had an affair with, was the human lie detector, which after 3 episodes, 3 appearances, I don't even remember her name. I apologize. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm just going to call her not Petra anymore. I apologize. If I have to eventually learn her name, I will. But like, at least right now, I'm just going to call her not Petra, which is, if you're a Jane the Virgin fan, you obviously understand what I'm referencing to. But if you don't, it's her character from Jane the Virgin. She played for 5 seasons. So we come back to the office, where I believe we're in the middle of Julian and Olivia discussing matters about everything going on. They have a big interview coming up with a new prospectful school for the twins to go into. And they got to be on the best behavior. Obviously, they're just not on the same term right now after Julian admitted everything about his affair. It's really tense between them, and as well as Olivia's got this big case on her already, which she's helping from the dude she was dating briefly. They never really did anything about it, but like she's doing it as a favor to him because this is his cousin, and he wants Olivia to represent in case the same employee case that we just got in the cold open. And he's just catching her up on things, just making sure things are aligned, that there just needs to be one more final test run of this client before they can go fully into trial on this. And he hires Petra to come in and assess her, which again is not the person that Olivia wants to see at the current moment. Olivia pulls aside Maddie, trying to just once again asking for help. Like, just be the buffer here. Just make sure that Petra does not go far with things, and just keep it neutral, keep things, self-explanatory. Only communicate to me. Let's not try to have any communication between us like today. Let's just try that. And as much as Maddie wants to be helpful, she's also respecting her boundaries here with that. Meanwhile, Billy and Sarah's new, well, we kind of get into that in this episode. It's not really, they haven't really established a title yet. They've been dating for more than a month now, but there hasn't been a title yet. There's no title on them yet. They're just kind of, still romantically interested in each other, but they aren't officially exclusively dating, which I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this modern day terminology. I'm just very thankful. I just want to put that on the record. I'm very thankful that I found the love of my life. I'm very thankful I found my partner. And this was that was a straightforward asking, set the terms, and said where we are right now, which is amazing. And then all this, all this, just have the conversation already. It's been more than a month. It's got to happen at some point. Even Billy calls her out while both of them are demolishing his later lunch. And obviously Sarah's been hurt, the fact that she's still hanging out with people. And Sarah isn't really hanging out with people because, again, it's already taken her so long to find one person, let alone having multiple people to date. It's not her forte. And Billy tries to not make fun of her about it, but more like trying to encourage her, just have the conversation already. You two are very well made for each other. This could work out in your favor. Just make the conversation to make it official. And Sarah brings us the fact that Billy has been sleeping back over at his mom's place while his now ex-girlfriend is still living at at his apartment. So, he's not manning up to that at all. So it's not been a great time for Billy. But however, on the series work from, they are admitting to themselves that okay, well, we've been letting managers like really ride the coaster with a lot of a lot of things with these cases, and now getting into Olympia's like high regards, and then we're kind of being more pushed to the side. So like now it's time to really lock in the next case we're on. We're gonna really make sure that we are being a valued asset to this team, that to tell Olympia, hey, we are on the same level as Maddie. We can be dependable. So we get into the actual case itself. An employee was terminated at the time that she got her truck stolen, and all the contents of the packages also stolen as well. As the same time she was about to form a union within the company. That if anyone doesn't know about this in business terminologies, I don't know why, I just barely know about it as well, is that unions are meant to protect the rights of the employees, that there are certain protections that certain corporations aren't going to be more willy-nilly, that like, okay, the unions are in place, that if you have a wrongful termination, they will do their absolute best to make sure that you either lose your job the correct way, or if there's even a shred of, improper activity, that at least you will have a case there before this gets taken to trial. That was the whole point of her making the union, to give more benefits to the associates. However, she conveniently got fired before the union vote took place, so the union was never able to form. Also, she's 8 months pregnant, so this is not really an ideal time for her to get involved in the court case, but she needs a job. She needs a guaranteed paycheck now that she will be a mother of one, so she definitely needs to go back to her current workplace, because there were a lot of benefits there. There were a lot of, advantages to working there, so that's where she wants to go next. And she's trying to pivot all this while not Pedro's kind of, again, doing her job, trying to drill her a little bit, making sure there's no shady business, there's no like collusion or anything with another party. She's just making sure of that, and not to be off with you. Like, she does withhold certain things. She does have certain moments where like she kind of like trying to stay quiet. She's trying to use the baby as like an excuse to like kind of talk somewhere else, kind of like keeping things focused on her story. Maddie again trying to like be the mediator, just trying to like keep things focused that doesn't involve not Pedro talking to Olympia. Eventually she just calls it a quit for the moment, using a bathroom break as a moment to like get away, while again not Pedro has her suspicious and all that sort. And she's like, yeah, I need to talk to Olympia. Like, definitely this could be like there. I have concerns about this client. I don't believe we should go to trial on this one. So Maddie informs Olympia of the news, and Olympia says, this is not what I need. I really do not want to talk to her right now, but if we have to, I guess I kind of have to suck it up. And then sadly, the police come into the door, and Maddie, getting a brief scare from what her husband said, like, if you get too much deeper and they catch on to you, you could get arrested for everything you've done so far in this undercover stint. And however, thankfully, it's not for Maddie, thank God. It is actually for their client, who is now being accused that she was the one that she had this whole what's the word? She had this whole scheme to steal the truck, steal the packaging, and then try to like pawn it off as like for her own sake. As supposedly the company found proof that she did steal the contents of it, and she was able to like try to get away with it willy-nilly. So now they're trying to form this countersuit against her at the same time she's about to form her own suit against them. We cut quickly to the court, where Olympia is trying her best to prove the case. Like, it's just there's too many ironic details going on for it not to be a conspiracy that the company is trying to discredit her as soon as this trial is about to begin. However, the judge, being neutrally impaired, he does say, okay, yeah, right, there's nothing official to say otherwise, but at least considering the charges it plays, we are going to have to place her in jail. We are going to put her on bail, and her friend shows up and she's willing to pay her bail so that she doesn't spend the night in the jailhouse. And then we come back to the court scene, to the firm again, where she fills in more like, yeah, when she got fired, she wasn't able to be there to clean out her locker, so she had her friend clean out the locker 3 months ago. So all of a sudden, this packing slip that proves that she stole the contents, like, is just too coincidental. And also, what kind of person is going to bring the packing slip to their place of work, but after they just already claimed that, yeah, it got stolen, I lost everything? Like, it makes no sense in theory, but again, like, once you put something into court, it's really difficult to kind of get yourself out of them, especially in her case right now. So they're kind of a little bit up a hill again, but they're trying their best to kind of get through it. So while they're trying to talk strategy and figure out what's the next point of play for them, Maddie gets a call from her grandson asking for assistance on this whole bullying front. Her going to decide to go take care of that, trying to just okay, like you know what, let me get grandpa involved. He'll call the school, he'll get things straightened out. Don't worry about it. And before she's able to do that, now Pedro actually overhears things and assumes, oh, I thought you said your husband was dead. And she's like, oh, yes, he very is dead. I'm talking to the grandpa on the other side of the family, so who's still alive. So, yeah, that's why. And now Pedro tries to drill into her just a tad bit about, like, just going to get a little more details about Maddie, even though they're in the middle of another case right now. Maddie kind of snaps a little bit and tells her off that, like, hey, look, you trying to get into my personal life? I'll talk about your personal life. You know, you don't want any certain secrets to get out, and obviously that's the call of her affair with Julian. So she immediately goes to Julian and asks him, did you tell anyone about this? And that's kind of when Julian lets slip, like, yeah, no, I told Olympia. So I guess the chain of like, okay, Olympia knows, so she told Maddie. It's gonna kind of really drive a wedge here between everyone. To be honest with you, about it. I'm trying to remember where exactly we go from here next. I know we get a scene where Benny and Sarah are just trying to figure out how they're going to be contributing. They're trying every single pitch to Olympia, trying to showcase themselves as being responsible, but it's not really working out. Especially when they're trying to get in on this janitor confession thing that could probably help out in the case, but it doesn't really go anywhere. 100% speaking, but they really don't get an opportunity to really contribute as much. They're just there as second and third eyeballs, basically speaking. From there, I want to say we go back to the court. We begin the first day of deliberations relating to the locker thing, trying to decredit a expert about it, and sadly he does use the health code where, like, well, technically we didn't know if she consumed any nuts because our new employee that was going to take over that locker has a nut allergy, and nuts apparently can stay on a residue surface for 110 days. It's scientifically proven, and so technically it's within the contents. I had reasonable doubt to go back and inspect the locker. That's why I found the slip. They put the evidence in, and they're sadly able to kind of ironclad the fact that there is a possibility that she may have stolen this from the past. They call up their second witness, which again is even more. It's even more discrediting as they apparently have new evidence again to the fact that there was a. I want to say they bring up the neighbor. I'm not 100% speaking where there was a bit of doubt considering the fact the truck before it got stolen had its camera turned off an hour before the theft actually occurred. She left the engine on. There's a lot of things going on that really does not paint the former employee in a good light, especially once again we cut back over to the room where this time I want to say his name was Elijah. I could be wrong about the other lawyer's name, the one that Olympia was briefly seeing to at the time, where he does get a bit mad about all these new revelations that, why wasn't this told beforehand? Again, now we're kind of facing an even more uphill slope because like your credibility is really damaging. There's already like a big thing in front of you already about this whole case. Like there's just a lot of things that are not, they're just not working out here. And obviously she's trying to keep her cool. She's trying to keep her calm about the whole thing. It's just trying to keep things like, look, I'm sorry. Yeah, a lot of things have been happening. Sorry, I didn't disclose everything. Those were just things that I didn't assume I need to tell you guys. So again, I do apologize for that. But at the end of the day, I didn't do it. I did not steal the truck. I did not collude to steal the truck at all. I don't have anything from the truck. I really don't. So with all that said, you got to believe me here. You really got to do it. And Olympia had to kind of step in to diffuse the situation a bit about it. But however, she is interrupted by this as she has to make a call with Julian about their meeting with the school, which they attend. It does go pretty well. It does seem like they have a good chance of getting in. However, Julian kind of makes a couple snide comments or two about her and that other lawyer, but that by the time the call ends and she kind of gets back into it, where Julian does imply that, like, yeah, I have gotten some information that there was a possibility you two have been canoodling while we were in the process of being divorced. So because even though technically you're not legally separated yet, that it does count as like kind of, mistreatment in a marriage, and they kind of have a bit of an issue about it, considering the fact that in her case, we never did anything. We've talked about it. We kept things very professional to the very end, not doing anything out of turn. So, but you have, so we cannot be compared to in the same regards over here on that matter. This is that actually at the same time he comes in, and which Olivia drops, maybe probably a misconstrued statement, whatever you want to call it, where she said, like, look, I was married to you. I did nothing. You went off and cheated on me physically. Well, I had enough. That me and this guy did nothing. This meant nothing. And obviously, he meant that the wrong way. Where like he probably assumed, oh, you never valued what we had. I was just your rebound, basically, your planned rebound. And obviously, both of them feel hurt about it, so they both leave the room. Which I'm like, great, Olympia, you had technically 2 men on your team. Now you have none. So that's just. That was just great to see that. So the rest of the team are trying to find out a new angle, trying to get their client out of this. It's really not doing so well. However, they do have a plan to pivot to her friend who bailed her out. Apparently, she had about 50 grand in debt. Her ex-boyfriend is a convicted convict. And they broke up after the theft occurred, which again, too many coincidences, and they think there's a solid case to try pin it on her and the boyfriend, and the client's like, nope, she's my best friend. I don't believe it. You got to find another angle, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to throw my friend under the bus just so you can save me. That's not what's going to happen. So I think from there, I want to say we get to, where do we exactly go from here? They're not going through with that. I know Sarah and Billy try to go undercover at the club he works at to try and get some low down information from him, but Julie and not Julie, Billy and Sarah's bickering over the whole, like, Sarah not confessing fully to the person she's dating, as well as Billy not manning up to get out of the apartment, or like forcing his ex to leave the apartment. Kind of take advantage of the whole. Kind of took priority over the whole thing. That the guy finds out about them. They try to spin it another way to get some information out of him, but he's like, nope, not gonna speak at all. I have nothing to do with this. This is a waste of my time. Get out. So they really don't get anywhere with that front, to be honest with you. So I believe that leads to, I know we have a scene where Maddie does return home to her husband. Their grandson, everything was fine with school at the end of the day, even after the call that Maddie was about to chew him out for, like, you didn't listen to me. I said, go to the principal. And the grandpa said, no, well, actually, everything worked out by itself, like I said it would. Like, I understand you're working deep into this case. You got to really stay your motive. But, like, if you're entrusting me to handle our grandson's, academic prospects, trying to make sure he's fine in school, you gotta trust me on these sort of things. And it worked out. And the two started arguing about everything. And Maddie brings up Olympia's case with her kids, and the grandma just kind of outs and says, like, I don't care about Olympia. I really, really don't. She's not your friend. She is a suspect in our ongoing quest to oust the corruption within this firm that could have prevented millions of deaths. And you're treating her like she's your BFF right now, which, again, he has a point. He legitimately has a point, because Maddie is starting to kind of blur the lines between what is being, what she's trying to do versus to what she's trying to kind of create in this imaginary character she's still forming here. So he does have a point there. Obviously, bit tricky right now, considering where they are at this current stage of the sting. So of the undercover work. So. Sadly, the two of them kind of have to, split off for the moment, because, choice words were said. Let's just leave it at that over there. So from there, I want to go to, where do we go from there? I think we just cut to the next day where Olympia and Maddie meet up again. They're kind of enjoying a basket of fries, having some drinks, kind of trying. I don't know if it's an off day for them. They're just trying to, like, come up with new ways to kind of, figure things out with the case. After a couple of drinks, Olivia starts unloading, and then even Maddie starts unloading some drinks as well about everything she does. Left slip to the fact that the not Pedra did serve as a consultant for the well, Braxton matter. So now there's a definite connection between her and them. But we'll come back to that a little bit later. However, during all this, Olympia has the idea. Well, hold on, this company has tracking devices in many of their products, and many of their devices, many of their workplace things. Like, what would be the chance that the current owner of some of these products might still have them on? It might still ping a location. So they check it out, and they go to an apartment where they start crank calling a bunch of people just to get them out so they can, investigate what's going on. And eventually they find out that the dude that lives there turns out to be the same dude from the beginning of the episode that was the manager for the woman that got fired, that got let go wrongfully. So now things are starting to like, okay, this is kind of interesting, right? This really is. And then between Billy and Sarah's, research, they apparently found out that the dude is actually a union buster. So he is an undercover employee. He goes into different corporations that hire him to kind of scope in, get in there, and try to break up these unions from occurring so that the corporations can still remain full control over an employee's termination. Basically have full say of the matter without having this, outside entity that's like trying to protect them. So from there, yeah. So between getting the bank statements, between getting a little bit more testimony, they were able to kind of like ironclad state that this was premeditated from the beginning to undermine her from the beginning, to kind of get her out of things so that they can disbar the whole union plan thing. So I believe we now get to court, and they basically start systematically tearing him apart, saying that this whole thing was done. Here are the bank records. Here's the timetables of everything. Like, it just, how do you explain that? He admits, yes, I was hired to break this up because the corporate ain't no unions. That was my job. And he does admit that he did go as far as stealing the truck himself, putting the culpability on the former employee, and he did everything he could because he was hired to do a job, and he had to accomplish it no matter what, and he did. And now being here, like after all this time, he's just like, well, I honestly did not expect to be sitting here. Yet here we are. So with all that being said, it was able enough to get the former employee her job back, was able to like kind of closes out on the employee matter, but they're still going to pursue forward with a civil case against the company for this inappropriate scheming that they did. Even a little bit of like apologies to the friend that was there about like the brief blaming her and her ex-boyfriend, which again, try all angles. Her cousin appears, the lawyer we know about already that Olympia was seeing, comes in, trying to congratulate her on the case victory. That they got to get into some family talk about, like, now this is over. You could maybe start showing up more often to some of the family functions. He doesn't say yes or no, and they start teasing him about the fact that, well, when are you gonna find the one? When are you gonna find, like, when is gonna be your wedding? What about Olympia? And he's like, nah, nothing's gonna happen there. Nothing. Like, literally in this moment, he just is confident at this moment that he and Olympia are done. 100% officially. There is no chance of a rekindling down the road, at least for now. Who the heck really knows? We cut back to Sarah and Billy, which both reach epiphanies in their current dilemmas. Billy has decided to man up and will be kicking out his ex-girlfriend tonight. And Sarah confesses to her dating person, and she reciprocates. And hopefully this is the beginning of a beautiful relationship between them. Maddie gets called into Olympia, letting her know about the state of affairs on things. I forgot. First, we get a scene between Olympia and Julie, where, yes, the good news is that their daughters got into the school that they wanted to, so they're set for their academic prospects upon the move. However, between everything that's going to happen for the past couple of months, that Olympia finds it best for them to kind of stay things professional between it, and that they should split as work competitors, that they should not work together anymore. Which, for me, I felt like, okay, let's just not work on cases anymore. That's what I was assuming. But no, Olympia wants him out of the firm. She thinks it would be better for them to not be in the same environment, so they can both thrive, have time apart from each other, have that, natural separation from it. Because when you're having a divorce and you're still seeing that person every single day, it kind of becomes a little bit difficult to be able to move on to kind of assert yourself as like being this independent entity again. And obviously Julian's taken aback by this because again he is the son of the founder of one of the current bigger partners here. So it would not be justifiable for him to leave. But of course, in Olympia's case, like, yeah, you have that advantage. I did it. I worked as far as I am now because of my own abilities, because of my workmanship, because of all that. You're just being handed the firm on a silver platter when the time comes. So we're in two different scenarios here. So Julian decides, well, you know what? Let's be fair about it. Let's let the board handle it. Choose one senior partner, and the other one who doesn't get the role has to leave. Which, for me, I think that's a fair compromise. Olivia does let Maddie know about it, that there's a possibility that neither her or Julie will be at the firm much longer after the board decides their fates. And they're going to basically write into the whole divorce, like, who gets Maddie? Like, that if Olympia's there, Maddie will stay on her team for the foreseeable future. Same on Julian's case. So for the time being, until this is all settled, they're going to be splitting Maddie between the two of them. Maddie is a child of divorce, which is something I thought I would never say about a grown woman. It's just a thing that happens. And they do have a nice sweet scene together about Olympia's just looking out for Maddie. Like she looks out for her friends, her real friends, and it kind of weighs into the fact like, yeah, for someone that's lying to take down your firm, it's a great saving to stay a little bit. Which I know she doesn't know 100%, but like still, it's just irony to say the least. Yeah. So I think from there we return back to the Matlock residence, to the non-Matlock residence, and she talks to her husband again about things like apologizing to him about recent words said. And, like also tying in not Pedro into the case, which at least is a step in the right direction, which he is happy about. However, what he's not happy about is Manny's decision to take Olympia off the board. Between how the last few weeks have been going for them, that she is feeling with the utmost confidence that Olympia had nothing to do with it. It has to be Julian, or maybe Julian with the proxy of Senior, who really knows 100% right now with all that details. But at least right now for her gut, it's Olympia. Olympia is not the person at play. She's one of the good ones, and they're going to be focusing their efforts on the others. Which the grandpa's like, okay, I am not believing this whatsoever. I really am not. But however, Maddie stays her foot proud and firm on this matter, as that's how the episode ends with that acknowledgement. For me, I thought this was a great episode. I really, really did. I think the trial side was it is what it was. It wasn't anything like too out of the way crazy in my opinion. It definitely just kind of shows the shadiness that corporations have been doing and will keep doing. It's very hard for a union to get formed nowadays, especially with just so much of the paperwork nonsense that kind of prevents many things from actually being solidified. But in terms of general with the relationships, I like the way they kind of reset the expectations a little bit. I was not expecting Julian and Pedro to be the ones hooking up. That wasn't in my my bingo card for the show. Olympia kind of burning bridges with both of the men in her life is an interesting choice, but at the end of the day, it very much is what is kind of what she's going to need next for her life, kind of like to start this whole independence chapter away from them. And her and Maddie's friendship keeps growing stronger by the episodes, and it's a little more concerning because, again, eventually Maddie's going to have to pull the string on things and kind of reveal this whole thing. It's like really building the trust between them because, like, I know eventually it's going to get destroyed. Olympia's going to be a wreck, and she's going to be back to dictator Olympia soon enough. And Sarah and Billy's relationship, I do find it still sweet. It is still like a brother-sister relationship, but they're helping each other out in their current regards. Some successfully, some not. It is very sweet to see just them kind of branching up to a real proper friendship now after the events of the last few episodes between them. So I found it to be very sweet. But again, I am wholeheartedly saying, yeah, Matlock is back. It's still as great as ever. I cannot wait for the second half of the season now. I cannot wait to see how things are going to turn out. It's going to be a question. I'm still kind of figuring out things out for myself, and I really am curious to see how does the line all ended up when we get to that end line. I really can't wait. I can't wait to see it. I can't. But with that being said, I'm giving this episode 2 thumbs up. Let me know down below what did you think of this week's episode of Matlock. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. I would love to have a conversation with you about it because that's what I love to do. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone, because I am officially running out of steam. You can probably see it in my eyes. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Joe here from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the first season of Matlock. If you want to know what we're doing normally once or two besides our Matlock episode reviews, later today, tomorrow, whenever you're viewing this, it's probably later on. We will have our After the Theater Blue Beetle movie review live. I'm still working on it to now. I'm going to be getting a good night's sleep and then bulk editing it first thing in the morning. So I expect that very, very soon. We also are doing every rookie episode review for season 7 every Tuesday nights after a brand new episode on ABC. But if you only care about Matlock, we do have another episode next week, but just a little update on my personal life. I will be going out for travels. So I most likely will not be available to review Matlock at its regularly scheduled time. I will most likely return to it on Monday night following next week's episode. So it will be February, I believe, February 10th. So I do apologize for that. I will try to post it as soon as possible whenever I do get to it. But again, I am supposed to be on a mini vacation. I have not had one since June. I am in need of it. So a little reset will do me wonders. So I hope you do understand. I know we just came back into it, but I swear to God, as soon as I'm done with that, it's going to be a straight run to the finale. Hopefully, God forbid, nothing else happens between now and then. But again, we will be back with the next episode review within the next week or so. But again, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring that bell and follow us on social media to stay up to date with any sort of updates we may have for our channels. But until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.